We are getting reaction from here at home. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau just sending his best wishes to Trump a few minutes ago. In a tweet, he says he hopes both Melania and the president get well soon. You may remember Trudeau's wife, Sophie Gregoire Trudeau, tested positive for COVID-19 way back in March. The prime minister went into isolation, but he never contracted the virus. And reaction also coming from Trump's Democratic challenger, Joe Biden. He said in a tweet, quote, "Jill and I send our thoughts to President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump for a swift recovery." Biden says they will continue to pray for the health and safety of the president and Melania. We have full coverage this morning here on CTV News Channel. To start it off, I want to bring in CTV's Joy Malbon, who is standing by in Washington with more. Joy, a shock for many, many people who woke up to the news. So let's start with how this all unfolded with Hope Hicks testing positive late last night.
Well, look, this is a serious moment in America. The health of a president is very, very serious. Hope Hicks, we know from some reporting, may have been showing some symptoms just a few days ago. But remember, we had the debates. Remember, you mentioned the Minnesota rally. Donald Trump was there. Not a lot of people wearing masks, not a lot of physical distancing. The only thing from the White House so far from the president's doctor is that he's feeling okay. He's feeling a little lethargic. There is some discussion whether or not he should go on national TV, whether or not he should say something to the country after all of this, because as you mentioned before, this has been a president who all along has mocked the mask, has denied the virus. Just the other day, saying that we've rounded the corner on the virus because certainly it has affected his election chances. It's just a stunning news to wake up to be honest with you.
So how many senior members of the administration may now have to self-isolate, Joy? I was watching footage of Hope Hicks, who has unprecedented access to the president, as she climbed the steps to Air Force One, touching the handrail. Behind her, Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, also touching the same handrail. I mean, so many members of the administration now potentially at risk.
The contact tracing is going to be astounding. I mean, you mentioned just a few people that she was with. She was involved in the debate preparations. Governor Chris Christie was, former New Jersey governor, helping Donald Trump prepare. Rudy Giuliani. We do know in the past that Secret Service members, unnamed, have contracted the virus, but the White House has always said, oh, it's okay, it's all right. And they've been, they've just kind of downplayed it all. But now this feels like there is an outbreak at the White House. You've got a senior aide. You've got all these other people, Stephen Miller, who was also on that plane, the president who he was in contact with. He was at the rally, the debate prep. And remember that debate, the yelling and the screaming and the insults and the interruptions back and forth. And even though Joe Biden was, physically distanced, we do know that the virus hangs in the air. So, I mean, there are just so many people that need to be tested. What about Congress? What about Nancy Pelosi? What about all of those people that the president may have been in contact with? Because, of course, they've been discussing a stimulus bill to help people affected by this pandemic.
And a lot of those legislators are older. They are in a high-risk group, Joy. So what does this mean for the election campaign itself? There's supposed to be a debate a few weeks out. Will that go on? And what happens in terms of, Donald Trump is his biggest and best campaigner, and now he can't be out doing those rallies that he so loved to do?
Yeah, this throws the election campaign for Donald Trump into chaos. There's supposed to be a vice presidential debate next week. Does Mike Pence go ahead? He's tested negative. Does that go ahead? Donald Trump was supposed to have a presidential debate, a town hall function with Joe Biden 2 weeks from now. The president says he's going to isolate and quarantine for the next 2 weeks. Will he be healthy enough? The polls show, and if you believe the polls, that he is losing to Joe Biden. And one of the Achilles heel for this president has been his handling of the pandemic and the mocking of the mask. There is some suggestion that, it would do him a world of good if he came out and spoke to the American people and said, look, wear a mask. Look what happened to me. But of course, many of supporters, and they've told me that they believe it's a hoax. They don't believe it's a real thing. And they believe the president when he says they've rounded the corner on the virus, when half of the states in this country, infections are rising. And nobody sees an end to this because there is no national strategy. So, all we're told from the White House is that he is doing well and that he will continue with his duties, but he's feeling lethargic, and everybody's waiting. There's also some concern, too. Do you believe the White House after all of this?
Right.
Do you believe what they say? When, Hope Hicks was showing symptoms a few days ago, and it was a reporter who broke that story. Not the White House didn't share it with anyone. And Donald Trump tweeted it, early in the morning that he tested positive. So, there's some suspicion whether or not we'll get any kind of truth out of this.
We will continue to follow this developing story, obviously. CTV's Joy Malbon with the latest from Washington. Thank you, Joy.